Okay, hi everyone. Can everyone hear me? Darla, can you confirm? Okay.
I can hear you.
Cool, I see a thumbs up. Awesome. Okay, good afternoon. My name is Kayla Macera. I'm the Director of School Nutrition Programs here at DESE, and I'm excited to welcome you to our first Let's Talk Tuesday. So Let's Talk Tuesday is an August webinar series that is geared to help you understand changes in school nutrition programs in relation to the many active waivers that Missouri has opted into for school year 21-22. So before we get started, I would like to address some housekeeping items. So unlike our event flyer says, you don't need to enter an email address in our chat box to receive training. We went a different route and simplified this for you. So we published a blank training certificate for you to download, fill out, and file, and it can be found on our newsletters, webinars, and workshops page. Instead, feel free to enter hellos and shout out what school district you work for in the chat. I have this little page to help. The second housekeeping item is that this webinar is being recorded. The recording and resources used during today's webinar will be available also on this newsletters, webinars, and workshops page on Friday, August 6th. And then we also have muted you upon entry and marked that you are unable to share video, just to help with some internet bandwidth. I know with we have about 173 right now on the call, and if the less we stress out the system, hopefully the smoother it goes. So you won't be allowed to unmute yourselves while the project team is presenting. However, we will have a live Q&A session following their presentation, and for that session, I'll adjust some meeting settings and share some ground rules for a Q&A right before we move on to that section of the webinar. Okay, so those were my housekeeping items I wanted to touch on, and so today we're kicking it off with school year 21-22 application packet guidance. Missouri has opted into the waiver to allow seamless summer option during school year 21-22. Seamless summer option, also referred to as SSO, allows schools to serve up to 2 free meals per school day to students or children 18 years or younger. Missouri has also opted into the waiver to allow Summer Food Service Program, or SFSP, reimbursement rates in school year 21-22. These rates are higher than the National School Lunch Program reimbursement rates, and this waiver requires an update in our web application system to successfully deliver these rates to schools participating in SSO. And so our web developer has not completed that update yet. Therefore, these SFSP rates are currently not available. However, we will notify you via email once the update is complete and notify you that those rates are available. All right, so now I would like to introduce a team of specialists who did excellent work this summer putting together this resource and webinar for you today. So we have Samantha Taggart, Nutrition Program Specialist for the Central Region, Keely Hawkins, Nutrition Program Specialist for the West Region, Heather Wersig, Nutrition Program Specialist for the RCCIs and charter schools, and Kyle Stadler, Nutrition Program Specialist for the Southwest Region. Thank you, Samantha, Keely, Heather, and Kyle for your work and dedication on this project for schools. I'll turn it over to them, and they'll step us through completing application packets. Give me a second while I have to maneuver something. All right, I think I adjusted the settings. Sammy, let me know if you're unable to share.
Caleb, this is Heather. Can you hear me?
Hi, Heather, yeah.
Hi, okay, so I think Sammy thought I was gonna start out, so do you want me to just go ahead and start?
Yeah, take it away.
Cool, okay, well, hi everybody. I am Heather Werthig. I am your nutrition specialist for RCCIs and charter schools. So we're just gonna start. I'm gonna show you how to walk through the application packet. I can share my screen. It looks different than it did earlier because there are a lot of you on here. Share. There we are. Okay, so everybody should be able to see my screen now. It's the screen that you get, let me get here first. When you first log into web applications. And I'm sorry if my voice is a little nasally, I have a cold. So what you're gonna do when you first start your application for the school year, your application packet, you wanna make sure that you're in the proper year first. Sometimes web apps takes you to the previous year, but everybody should default to the current school year 21-22. Then you're gonna click up here at the top on applications, down to application packet, and you'll see all of your information here for your LEA, your contact person, and phone number, email address, and then you're gonna click modify and hope that it goes. And here is where it's going to take you to your LEA application for this school year. So it will already populate the type of agency that you're in. Then you are going to have to fill in your opening date. So that is going to be the first date of your academic year that you are serving meals. For some of you, if you're still serving meals using SSO, you're going to want to put July 1st here of this year, all the way through the end of your academic school year. Following that next section, authorized representatives, you're going to go through here. Most of this information will already be populated from last year or from whatever is in your application packet. I just went in and put my information. So your authorized representative is going to be usually your food service director or whoever is in charge of your food service program. So you'll just fill in all of those boxes as you go. If you have any information that's the same as your authorized representative, you'll just click that box and it will populate what is already up here at the top. Continue to scroll down. And then if your food service director or manager is different than your authorized representative, here is where you'll fill in that information. It just depends on the district size, if that's the same as your authorized representative or if that's someone different. If it is the same person as your authorized representative, you can click this box here and that's going to auto-populate the same information that you put in up here. Continuing on down to your claim contact, your claim contact is going to be the person who seems obvious, but who's going to be contacted in case there are any issues with your claim. Sometimes this is also the same as your authorized representative, so if that's the case, you'll click there. If it's not, then go ahead and fill in that information. for your next person and what the title of that person is. Sometimes that could be assistant superintendent, sometimes that's your food service director, just varies by district. Then down here, your determining official, we just want to know who that is, what their job title is. A lot of times also, directors, we have lots of hats. So a lot of times that's the director, but you do have a drop down here where you can pick any of these different positions. And then your hearing official is also got all of these beautiful drop downs here. The only thing you need to keep in mind with your hearing official is that this position has to be higher than the determining official. So for instance, if your determining official is, let's say, your food service director, then your hearing official has to be someone higher than the food service director. So usually that's going to be an assistant superintendent, a business manager, or someone, I would say probably up at the top of this list. Same if that's like a kitchen manager. So then, of course, your hearing official is going to be probably your food service director. Moving on, we just need to know the number of food service employees you have in your district. 100, that seems like a lot to me because I've only been at small districts, but I know there are a lot of you who have that many. So just there, it could be as many as 2, 1, could be more than 100. So, moving on, civil rights training. Civil rights training is an annual requirement. So every year at the beginning of the school year, you are required to go over the civil rights training that's posted on our website. The link to that is going to be in the document that you guys get at the end of this presentation, along with all of the directions that we're going through today. And then you have to upload that document for the previous school year. And if yes, you did that, all you do is check yes. But if for some reason you didn't get that completed, you'll click no. And then that will probably come up later with your nutrition specialist, and we'll go over how we can help you with that. Moving on to eligibility information. We supply a prototype application for free and reduced price meals. If you are not going to use that prototype application, then you are required here to click no and provide us with a copy of the application that you intend to use on a different screen. And I think Kyle will go over where that's going to go later. If you are an RCCI or not required to collect applications, you would click NA here. I do want to point out that we are still collecting applications, even if we're doing SSO, and that we have to do verification. And all of that information also is in the packet that you're going to get at the end. Student population type, if you're a regular school, you're going to click day only. If you are an RCCI, you might be residential only. And if you're an RCCI with a day school, you might also be our residential and day only. So most public LEAs are day only. So you just click there what type of student population you have, and then what type of documentation you're using to qualify students for free and reduced price meals. So again, if you're an RCCI residential only, you'll click NA and none of these other boxes. But if you are anything else, you're going to click what you use, whether that's the application, the direct certification list, your homeless liaison through the district. If you don't collect applications and all of your students are claimed at the paid rate, you would click here and nothing else. You can also put CEP here in the other box if you check other. And then also here, if you are participating or have any buildings participating in CEP, you would click yes or no. And then severe need lunch reimbursement rate determination. This is auto-populated, so you don't have to do anything here. If for some reason you notice a discrepancy with this, then go ahead and contact your nutrition specialist and we can look into it further for you. And then food service management companies, if you are contracting with a food service management company, this is where you would put that. So if it's a no, you can skip this section, you just click no and then go on. If you are contracting with the FSNC, then click yes, and then you just need to fill in the information here. This does have to be a district employee. It cannot be an employee of the food service management company. So this has to be somebody that we can contact at the district about anything to do with any of your food service. If you have any other comments or there's anything on here that didn't work properly for you, you can always put comments here. We do always read those. And then the internal use box down here, you can read it if you want, but not anything you do with it. So after you fill out all of those boxes, you just click Save down here at the bottom. And I did something that threw an error. So if you do something in here, you miss a box or something is just not quite right, it will tell you. And then you can go back and you click Edit. And I didn't complete the claim contact information. So if you don't fill that out, then it will flag an error for you. So I'm just going to go in there and click same as authorized representative and see if that fixes my errors. And it did. So then all you have to do is click finish, and it's going to take you back to this application packet screen. And then I'm going to hand it off to my next coworker.
Hello, everybody. My name is Kyle Stadler, and I'm hoping everyone can hear me. I see a green mic popping up, so I think that's a good sign. So I am actually going to walk you through the checklist summary section. And so as long as my computer doesn't freak out, it looks like we're good to go. So if you are already at the main application packet page, like Heather was showing us earlier, you are going to see a whole list of items that you can choose from. Like I said, I'll be showing you the checklist summary. And so this is a section that allows you to upload just a few documents that are pretty important for the application packet. So when you get ready to do this one, you can click on details. And you should see a list just like this with the buildings throughout your school district listed down here, but you'll also see your district as a whole listed up at the top under the LEA. And so here it'll give you the opportunity to upload the same documents for just the entire district. So you can click on there. And you should see this page come up next. And so there's two different types of documents that you're going to be able to upload starting this year, actually. You're going to have the option to upload these free and reduced attachments, as well as the civil rights training that you have been able to upload before. And so we are actually going to start here with the civil rights training. And so one thing to keep in mind when uploading this document is that the civil rights training needs to be the documents from the previous school year. So in this case, we're doing the 2021-22 application. So we are going to need the civil rights documents from the 2021 school year. So whenever you're ready for this, you can click on this blue paper clip, which will allow you to upload your document. So I have made a mock-up document of our civil rights training. right here, and hopefully it will give you a little idea of what you will need. So when you upload this document, we are looking for almost an attendance record of who was at the training and what the training was for. And so, as you can see here, we list that it's for the school year 2020, 2021. We have our district listed, and we have the date that the training would have been completed on. And underneath here, you'll see just a list of individuals who were attending the training and the positions that they held. And so this is the document that I'll be uploading, but it'll differ for your district. So when you come back to this page, when you're ready to upload, you can click on the Choose File button. Locate the document on your computer. Mine is right here. And open, and it should fill in the name of the document right there. Oh, I clicked it again. There we go. Okay, there we go. And when you're ready, you can go ahead and hit save. Now this comment section allows you to put a short description of whatever the document is. And this just helps it make it a little bit easier for the nutrition specialist for your region to sort through the documents if the names are, a little unclear. So for instance, you can put civil rights training and hit save, finish, and the documents that you have uploaded will appear down here at the bottom. So you can see right here that comment that I added, civil rights training, pops up. Now the new documents that we have here for the 2021-2022 school year are the free and reduced attachments. And you'll notice this star has this little comment down here saying that for the current school year, this is an optional attachment. So even though it's an optional attachment, one thing that needs to be kept in mind for all schools, whether you decide to upload some of these attachments or not, when you do go to submit the entire action packet, you'll need to make sure that this checkbox is marked. Again, whether there's any attachments or not. So if you're going to upload some, we're going to follow that same procedure, clicking the paperclip, which takes you to this screen. And now the documents that can go here are just a couple of the free and reduced attachments that you can find on the DESE Food and Nutrition homepage. So if you go to the main DESE website, go to our Food and Nutrition Services webpage. And scroll down to the free and reduced price section that's found under the financial and admin services. So right there. This page actually has all of our attachment templates listed. And if you have not seen this yet, we have actually updated a few of these attachments specifically for the COVID-19 pandemic and for districts who are planning to run the SSO program during the school year. So we have letters to parents that are based on the SSO program, direct certification eligibility based on SSO being run, public release, and the notice of approval or denial. All of those documents have a SSO version for this school year. So some of the documents that we are looking to be attached to that section on the application are the free and reduced application itself, so attachment E, the public release, attachment F, the notice of approval or denial, attachment G, and attachment I, the method of collection and meal counting. So these are all templates that you can use, and you can download them, add your district information into those forms, and utilize that document. So back on our application page, you're going to follow that same procedure, clicking Choose File, finding the document you want to upload. So we'll say attachment D and E. Now I've named them attachment D and E, but if yours are called something else, you can always make that comment again that describes it a little bit more in detail about what the document is. So once you're set, you can hit save, finish, and that document will be added down at the bottom. And you can repeat that process for more of those documents after you've uploaded that first one. So I can go in here, now I can add attachment F. Again, adding that comment if needed. Hitting that save, finish, and it will add it to my list of documents that I've uploaded down here at the bottom. So I'm going to mention one more time just to make sure everyone hears it. When you go to submit your application as a whole, you want to make sure this checkbox right here is marked with that blue check. Otherwise, you'll have an error in trying to submit your entire application, and you actually won't have access to that button to submit it. So once you've uploaded everything needed on this page, you'll hit save, finish, and you're taken back to the list of schools. And if you hit back, you'll be taken to that main application packet again. And so that is our checklist summary page. And so now I am going to go ahead and turn it over to Keely, and she'll guide you through the next section.
Hello, I'm Keely Hawkins. I am Nutrition Program Specialist for the West region of Missouri, and I am going to walk you through the building application instructions. So I am going to share my browser so that you can follow along. And we are going to get started on our building application. I want to be sure to note that if you are participating in the Seamless Summer option this year for the 21-22 school year, you still have to fill out the form that I am showing you to do regardless. This is going to ensure that you are kind of still in our program participating as a whole, not just the Seamless Summer. So we are going to look, just as the Heather explained, when you're in your application packet down below, you'll see School Nutrition Program. You will click there and...
Hi, Keely. Can I interrupt you real quick?
Yes.
I'm not seeing what you're sharing at the moment.
Oh. Huh. Okay. What did I do wrong?
Oh, okay. Here it comes through. I'm seeing it now. I'm seeing your web browser. Okay. Yep. Okay, I see it. Thank you.
Okay. I guess there was a lag, maybe?
Probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you can see it now. Good. I'm glad that someone said something. Okay, so I will go back just so you guys can see exactly where I started. Let's make sure, let me know if it doesn't, if there's a lag or something. Okay, so we are back at our application packet page. There is a second box that says building applications, and we are going to click on school nutrition program. And then you'll have your list of buildings for the 21-22 school year. Be sure to look at that top right corner that indicates what school year you are in, and you will want to be in the 21-22, our current school year. So I'm going to go in and modify my first building. You will do the same thing for each building. So we'll start with our first one, so to say, and we are going, I already have errors because I was messing with it a little earlier, just making sure everything would work properly. So here we go. On the first one, you're going to select whether the building you're currently in is a prep center or not. If your intention this year is to operate the seamless summer option, you would still indicate what you would usually participate in. So if you usually participate in National School Lunch Program and the breakfast program, you would click those. If you participate in the after school snack program, you would click those, and you do so by clicking that right hand corner that says modify program selection, and then it's clickable. You would save and continue. I will make a note that this year for COVID only, if you are participating in the Seamless Summer option, you may also participate in the after school snack program under this building, or excuse me, under this application. So yes, under this building, you could participate in the after school snack program, and I will explain in further detail shortly as we get to that section. So I'm going to click save and continue. And then we are going to scroll down. There we go. And 3, 4, and 5 are self-explanatory. You're going to enter in the address of the building you are currently in or writing up. And then you are going to go to number 6, which are typically also auto-populated. Sorry, I keep getting pop-ups from people wanting to annotate things, so I'm not able to see my screen. I don't know if participants are trying to do things. Okay, so number 6, this is going to be auto-populated, so don't worry about any of those numbers. Number 7, you're going to select the current building that you're in, what grades are in that building. So for the Jeff City High School that we're on, it says, we're in high school 9 through 12. Number 8, you are going to select all applicable ways that the current building that we're in implements farm to school. If there are none, there is the option that says NA, that you do not participate in farm to school. That's okay. Then we are going to go to number 9. And this is important to note that Seamless Summer sites, if all your buildings are participating in Seamless Summer, next to the National School Lunch Program and the School Breakfast Program under Pricing Information, you are going to change the paid and reduced price to 0. And then you would, if you are allowing adults to eat that are not part of the cafeteria staff, then you would indicate a price based on the PLE tool that you've determined the correct pricing for adults at lunch. The breakfast program is at your discretion. Traditional sites, after completing the paid lunch equity tool, you would input based on the configuration in the PLE tool. Right here. So let's say the PLE tool told me to enter $2, then I would enter $2. And then again, if I'm participating in the National School Lunch Program and not Seamless Summer, I'm entering in the reduced price as indicated. And let's say I want my breakfast to be $1. So this would be if you are doing the traditional sites. So we just did 0 for Seamless Summer sites, and then we're entering in pricing for traditional sites. So those are the two options for that section. Then section A, you are going to select the months. Now, if you are doing the Seamless Summer option, you will uncheck. So it will look like this as we see it now. You will uncheck all months of operation because you are operating Seamless Summer. If you're operating traditional sites under the National School Lunch Program, you would select all applicable sites. And then again with B, you are going to uncheck any if you're doing Seamless Summer. If you are participating with traditional sites, you will then select which days you participate, Monday through Friday, or some schools are doing Tuesday through Friday, some schools Monday through Thursday. So you select all applicable dates for traditional. And then for meal service times, as you see, it's going to fluctuate and be determined based on what you are participating in this year. Sorry, another pop-up. I don't know what these pop-ups are for bandwidth. I don't know. Maybe I should check. Is everybody hearing me okay? I'm getting like something about bandwidth. Kayla or someone
Hey,
can.
Kiwi.
Everything's good?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, everything's good.
Okay.
I
I'm
can hear
getting.
you, and I don't see the pop-ups that you're seeing, but everything's going great.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so then we are on our A3 that is going to, oh, nope, I skipped A2. So begin time again, if you're going to change, for Seamless Summer, you're going to change your meal times to blank by clicking that drop down. So as you see, there is a blank option. We just leave it as is. A traditional site, you're going to, as you would, select your beginning and ending for meal service times on the building that you are currently in. So high school, whenever you start and end meal service for lunch, section A that we are on. Then offer versus serve, are you implementing it? Yes or no. Simply select. And then A4 is pre-kindergarten commingled during the meal service. So this is important to note. If they are commingled during the meal service, you select yes, and then that correlates with A5. So if they are commingled, you can just select food-based menu planning. If you are saying no, they are not commingled, so they eat separately, then whatever building you're currently in, that's when you are going to select both the food-based menu option and pre-K. This year there is an NA option. So at the high school, there might be that there are no pre-K students, so there would be the NA option and you would select the food-based menu planning. So continue with that, and this is all with the regular participation right now. I'm just going to keep going on to A7 or A6. Has the school opted to provide non-dairy milk substitutions? That's at your discretion at your building. And then A7, have your meal counting and claiming procedures been revised? So that is going to switch you, or if you have switched or changed them, you are going to, hopefully you can see this when I switch windows. That's going to be your policy statements, your attachments, where you're going to go into a different section and attach those afterwards if they have been revised. If you click yes, then you're going to go here to policy statements and upload your new ones. And then your methods of collection and your free and reduced as it shows, and it gives you hyperlinks to get those new forms and update accordingly. So then if those are for all of them, you just indicate as usual. Then we go to section B, which is going to be for breakfast. And very similar to lunch and how the two differentiate this year. If you are operating Seamless Summer, you will ensure that it looks like this. Everything's unchecked for section A and B because that indicates to us you're not participating in the national or the school breakfast program. We're on section B, and then you are going to do that. Elsewhere, you're going to indicate when you operate in the next form. So then on B2, again, if you're doing Seamless Summer, your begin time and end time is on blank. Offer versus serve, indicating and answering accordingly. And then again, same thing as I explained above, you're going, the B4 and B5 coordinate. So if they are commingled, yes, and that means you can implement the food-based menu planning. If they are not commingled, then you would put no, and you would need to indicate that you are serving both meal patterns. If it's not even applicable that pre-K students are not at this building, you may select NA and do food-based menu planning. And then again, same as above, you're indicating whether or not your meal counting and cleaning procedures have been revised, and you would upload accordingly. Then B7 is a little different since you have the different options to serve breakfast. You would just simply check mark how breakfast is served there. It does say you can check as many that apply. Some schools just do one, some schools do multiple, so you would just indicate accordingly. Then the C section, which would be the after school snack program. As I mentioned earlier, if you choose to, you may operate the Seamless Summer option breakfast and lunch, and then under this current section, you would implement the after school snack program and tell us here. So everything else, let's say we are doing Seamless Summer option, so I left breakfast and lunch blank. I may participate in the after school snack program for this year only, regardless of the eligibility. So I can I can input my days and my months on section A and B accordingly. Note on C2, the snack service times. If your school day ends at 3:15, since it is, as it says, an after-school snack program, you would have to say your starting time is after the end of the school day. So you couldn't start after-school snack at 3 o'clock if your end of school time is at 3:15. And then your end time can be however long you do the after-school snack program. And then it does ask you on C3, what time does your normal school day end? Because we will see that, and we have to make sure that the end of the school day is before the snack service time starts. Then C4, it's important to indicate your enrichment activity. In order to participate in the after school snack program, there has to be some sort of educational or enrichment activity offered alongside the snack. Some examples include tutoring, a reading program, maybe STEM, after schools, homework help, something of that nature, but not limited to those options. So you would describe that in section C4, and then C5 and C6 are auto-populated. If it tells you, so for example, this school is non-area eligible right here. We on our end will fix that so that you are able to claim the snack at the free rate. So don't worry about C5 and C6 and how it's being populated, because on our end, if you choose to participate for the year, we will be able to change it on our end so that you get that full reimbursement rate for the snack program. And then important to note in the comment section for Seamless Summer sites and combination sites, due to the items 1 and 3 being blank on the National School Lunch Program and School Breakfast Program, we have to have an indication of the zero pricing. We have to have a comment. So they're linked, that if you have it priced at 0, you will need a comment to go alongside that. So a comment could say, the comment that needs to be stated is operating Seamless Summer for the 21-22 school year. And that justifies those warnings that come up. Without those comments or that comment, your application can't be submitted, so you will get the error, which I think it actually populated at the top. So I can show you. It says comment must be entered for any warnings on this page. And that is what you will see if you do not enter a comment. So after that, for a traditional site, you need to review any of those warnings or errors. And if you do come across any trouble that you thought, well, I did everything that I was supposed to, and you're still getting warnings or errors, you can reach out to your nutrition program specialist to get guidance on what to change or modify to get that submitted. When you are at the very bottom and you've filled everything out, that is when you are going to save it. And as noted, we had those errors. I can show you real quick if you'd like. That error will disappear if I enter in. Oh, let's do this. There we go. Operating Seamless Summer for school year 21 and 22. And then that should disappear for us. And then we should just have some warnings. And then you will click finish, and then you will continue on for each additional site that you have. You will save all of that, and then I will turn it over to Sammy, who will go over the Seamless Summer option application.
Okay. I think everyone should be hearing me now, I hope. Okay. So, for the 21-22 school year, USDA did extend, so I'm going to be going over the Seamless Summer application, how to fill that out, how to apply to operate Seamless Summer for the 21-22 school year. USDA did extend the waivers that allow the operation of Seamless Summer through the 21-22 school year. Under this program, schools are permitted to offer 1 or 2 meals free of charge. So if you're new to SSO, you may have offered through the Department of Health last time. However, the waivers that USDA offered did not extend the SFSP program, so you would have to operate Seamless Summer this year. However, they did allow us a waiver so that we can use the SFSP reimbursement rates under the Seamless Summer option for this year. And those will be posted on our website, and they will also be included in the guidance manual that we are going to be putting out shortly after this presentation. Okay. Please note that under the SFSP program, since we are using the SFSP rates, those rates are set by calendar year. So you may see a change in reimbursement rates on January 1st of 2022. So the rates that are set right now are going to be good through December 31st, and we will update those and notify you of the change in the rate once that becomes available. Okay. So, although you don't have certification and benefit issuance isn't part of the Seamless Summer, we are recommending and wanting everyone to still put that information out and complete that benefit issuance process. Um, and so all of that information Kyle kind of went over in the checklist summary section. Okay, so going on to how to fill out the application. So to start off in the 21-22 school year, the Seamless Summer application is a little different because it runs October through September. So because of that, our August and September for Seamless Summer is actually going to be on our 2021 application packet. So we'll want to click on year here at the top and then go to the 2021 school year. And then it's going to be back under our application packet. So then from here, we're going to go down to Seamless Summer. If you are new to Seamless Summer, you haven't operated it previously, you will have to add a building application here. But if you already have buildings listed here, you'll just click Modify next to those. So with this example, this is what it would look like if you had previously operated Seamless Summer in the 1920 school year. So you can see they've got all of their information for October through May because they were running Seamless Summer during that time period. So if you are updating this, what you'll want to do is change these dates because on the 2021 application packet, it's only running through September 30th. And then we'll just put our number of days that we're operating in here. So on this period of operation, this is what it's going to look like if you were previously operating Seamless Summer. If you had not operated previously, you're going to put your first day of operation. So we'll just put the 15th. So it's going to be your first day of operation through the end of September for this portion, and then the number of days that you're serving meals in number 7. Okay, and then number 8 is just going to be the number of days that you are serving meals out of this building. If you have an organization contact, you're going to put that here. So that's if it's your program's being operated by an entity outside of your school district. Okay, so then we get into type of site and eligibility. You can operate as an open site or a closed enrolled site. If you are operating as an open site, you're required to serve all children in the community who wish to take a meal that are under the age of 18. You can qualify based on your free and reduced data. If you had previously qualified from last year, or you can put in information here. However, if you're new to SSO, there actually is no requirements this year. So if you are new to SSO, what we're going to ask you to enter here is waiver 85, and that's going to be your justification for operating as an open site under SSO for August or July, I guess, through June 30th. You also have the option to operate as a closed enrolled site. This means that you are serving only your enrolled students. So with this option, you would not be able to serve meals to kids that are not enrolled in your district. And the justification for that is just going to be the same. We're going to ask you to put waiver 85 there. So the choice is up to you, whether you want to operate as an open site or a closed enrolled site. That's just your district's decision. Next, we're going to go on down to meal participation. Here, you're going to type or select the 1 or 2 programs you would like to operate. It can be any combination of these except for lunch and supper. From here, typically we see breakfast and lunch is the most common. And then you're going to put the estimated number of meals to be served each day, and then the beginning and ending of those 2 meal times. On this, if you are doing a curbside pickup option as well as an in-seat or in-person meal service, we would ask that you put your in-person meal service times here, and we will have you put in the comments what your curbside pickup times are. Okay. Next is our meal planning and service. We're just going to pick whether it's a food-based menu planning or a pre-K meal pattern, similar to what Keely had mentioned before. If this is a pre-K only site, they should be getting the pre-K meal pattern. If it's a commingled site, they would be the new food-based menu planning. So most of you are probably going to be the new food-based menu planning. Then we're going to go into our meal service questions. Are any of your meals vended? That means that you have an entity that is fully preparing those meals offsite and bringing them fully prepared to your site for distribution. That's not very common, but we do see a lot of people checking that if they're a food service management company. Just because you're a food service management company doesn't mean that you're a vended site. The next question is, are meals prepared on this site? That's pretty self-explanatory. And then the last one is, are meals transported to this site? So they're prepared off-site and then transported to the site for distribution. Next is a question on advertising. So when it comes to operating as an open site, you do have to advertise that meal, the availability of those meals to the community in a way that it can be accessible to anybody to see that advertisement. So that could be distributing flyers, posting it on your school website. We wouldn't want to see this just go out as a parent newsletter if you're operating as an open site, just because that only targets students that are already enrolled in the district. We would want it to be some kind of way that it's notifying the public at large of that availability of the meals. However, if you are operating as a closed enrolled site, the advertisement requirement isn't necessary because you only need to notify the families that are enrolled in the district. Okay, so then once you have filled all of that out, your severe needs section is going to be automatically populated. We would ask you in this comment section if you at some point operated as an open site and then changed to a closed enrolled or vice versa. We would ask that you enter in this comment section the dates which you were operating as closed enrolled and the dates which you are operating as an open site, so we can easily track that information on our end. Okay, so once we finished all of that, we can click save. If you have any warnings or errors, it's going to let you know, and then you can go back and edit, click finish, and then go back again. Make sure on this 2021 application packet, it's really important that you remember to click this submit for approval button. If you don't click this, it doesn't send it to our end for approval, and we don't know to review this application packet from the 2021 school year. So it's really important to submit that. If you don't have that available, you need to check back through, make sure you have everything completed. If you have any issues, give us a call. We'll be happy to help you. And then from there, we'll go ahead and review your application packet and approve it. So that was filling out the SSO application for the 2021 school year. So the next step is to operate or indicate our operation for October through the end of the school year. So we're going to click year at the top and switch over to the 21-22 school year. Go to applications and then application packet. And we're back to where we had left off with Heather covering the LEA application, Kyle on the checklist summary, and Keely has showed us how to fill out the building application. So the last step of this, if you are operating as Seamless Summer, is to fill out your Seamless Summer application packet. If you had previously operated Seamless Summer before, your building should show up here. If they don't, you'll just click Add Building Application and then pick the building that you want to fill out the application for. And if you had to add that building, this is going to show up completely blank. So you'll go through and fill out all of this information. So on here, because this is running from October 1st through the end of our operation, we're going to put October 1 of 21 here. And the last day that we plan to operate Seamless Summer right here. So we'll say May 15th of 22. This also asks if we are operating on a year-round calendar. This is meaning your academic school year. So if you offered a Seamless Summer through the summer, that doesn't mean that you're operating as a year-round calendar. When you hear that year-round calendar, think of your academic calendar, not your meal service operation. So typically this is going to be no. So then from here, we're going to fill out the number of days that we are planning to offer meal service. So I'm just going to kind of enter some meal or numbers here for those. The SSO waiver is available through June 30th, but for this example, I'm just going to show that we're operating through a traditional school year. So then next, we're going to check the number of the days that we're serving meals. For this example, I'm not going to say that I have an organization contact operating my program. And then just like before, we're going to click Open or Closed Enrolled Site and indicate that we are operating under waiver 85 to operate the Seamless Summer option. And then again, we can pick our 2 meal services that we're planning to serve under Seamless Summer. You do have the option to serve breakfast, lunch, and snack. However, if you wanted to do that option, you would have to serve breakfast and lunch under SSO and serve snack under NSLP. And that's going to be tied back to Keeley's part of the application where you checked the months that you were operating ASP, but left the breakfast and lunch sections blank, indicating that you were operating Seamless Summer. And after this, we're going to go through a little bit of how you would submit claims for in that situation. Okay, so then next we're going to put the estimated number of meals that are going to be served each day and the times which we're going to be serving meals. Again, this needs to be the times that if you're doing in-seat and curbside, this we would like to see as your in-seat meal service and indicate in the comments what you are, the times you're doing your curbside for. Okay, then next we're going to pick what our menu planning option is. Determine if our meals are vended or not. Typically that's going to be no. If the meals are prepared on site, and if the meals are transported to this site. Okay, so because this example, we're going to be operating as an open site, we do need to indicate when our advertisement's going to be. So for here, you can just put a range for your advertisement. We'll do 8/15 of 21 through 5/15 of 22. And we're going to say that we're distributing flyers, we're going to do a parent newsletter, posting flyers, and we're going to put that information on our website. So again, this just needs to be some kind of advertisement method so that it is accessible by the general public and not just students who are already enrolled in the district if you're operating as an open site. Okay. And then down here in the comments, we could put that we're doing curbside from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. And then again, if you end up switching from open to closed at any point during the date range from October through May, please put a comment down here indicating the dates which you operated open and the dates which you operated closed so that we can track that on our end. So once you've done all that, you can click save. And it says my phone number is not valid. Okay. And then we'll click save. And so we don't have any errors now. We can click finish. And then again, make sure that you filled out the LEA application, the checklist summary, and your building application. And then you will click the submit for approval button to let us know that you're done revising all of the information within your 21-22 application packet. You will need to click the submit for approval button separately on the 2021 and the 21-22 since they are separate packets. Okay. So now I'm quickly going to go through how you'd be filling out your claims for the 21-22 school year. If you are submitting claims for August and September under the Seamless Summer option, you will actually have to go back to the year 2021, click on Claims, and then Claim Entry Seamless Summer. And so these are grayed out right now because the application packet hasn't been approved since I just clicked that Submit for Approval button. So in order for these to become active, we do have to have the application packet approved. Now my screen is freezing. So here we can see that it's been submitted for approval here. It's still pending, so that's what we're waiting on. But that is where we will enter August and September of 21. And then once we get into October of 21, you won't have to go back to that year. October through June will be on the 21-22 school year for your claims. If you are operating Seamless Summer for breakfast and lunch, and then you want to operate after school snack under the National School Lunch Program, you would submit your breakfast and your lunch claims through under the Seamless Summer claim entry and your after school snack under the regular claim entry. And so those are just going to look like they would in a normal school year. Okay. And I think that pretty well covers how to fill out your application packet for this year and how to submit that for approval, as well as the claim entry process for this coming school year. So I'm gonna stop sharing my screen and pass it back to Kayla.
Wonderful. Thank you, Samantha, Keely, Heather, and Kyle. You guys did an excellent job at stepping us through the application packets. As you can see, our hands are in many application packets this year. And I just want to address a few comments that I'm seeing come up, Sammy, as you were going through SSO application. And a lot of you are not seeing Seamless Summer option pop up for school year 21-22, and that is because our web developer needs to change the open date for that. I have a ticket into them, and I was asking when an estimated date when they could deliver that to us, and I haven't received back, but we will be sure to email you all an update when we expect the SSO application packet for school year 21-22, excuse me, SSO for school year 21-22 to open up. Okay, so now we'll transition into a Q&A session, and I would like to start by going through a few ways that you could submit some questions. And I see that some of you have already really figured it out. So one way is you could ask questions verbally. and you could use the raise hand function. And if you find your name on the participant list and hover your mouse over that, you'll see a little hand pop up, and you can click that, and your hand will be raised. A second way to do that is to look on the bottom of your meeting window. And there's like a little smiley face with a plus sign, and it's called reactions. And if you click on that, you'll see the raise hand option. So if you're doing a verbal question, I'll see your hand raised, and I'll call on your name and then ask you to unmute yourself and ask your question. Another way, and I've been taking notes throughout this chat, you can just type in your question. So if you just want to ask your question that way, and I can ask it out loud here. So we'll kind of volley between verbal questions and questions in the chat box. So, and I think I allowed everyone to unmute themselves. So you should have that ability, but if not, let me know. So let's get started. I'll start with a verbal question. I see Lorena Ross has your hand up and you're top on my list. So if you can go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question. Let's start with you. All right, Lorena, if you are unable to unmute yourself, why don't you try chatting, and I'll move to, I see username HedgeCoR. Let's move to you with your verbal question.
Robert Hedgecourt from Smithfield School District. Wanted to review the information that you said in the S&P building application packet. In Section A and Section B, which Section A was the National School Lunch Program and Section B was School Breakfast Program, it was said to leave those months unchecked in both areas if you were doing the SSO option. I just wanted to make sure I heard that correctly and to make sure that was the correct way to complete the form.
All right, and that was Kiwi's section. Kiwi, are you able to answer that question?
Can you repeat that one more time? Just trying
Sure.
to follow.
Yeah, so our district is doing the SSO option, and it was mentioned when filling out the application packet, and the application packet I'm referring to is the school nutrition program building application. There's a Section A and Section B under those buildings that has you list out the months that you're participating in those sections, I'll call it. It said if you're in the SSO, if you're using the SSO application, it said leave those months unchecked in Section A, which was the National School Lunch Program, and B, which is the School Breakfast Program. I want to make sure that I heard that correctly.
That is correct.
Okay. If we already checked that and had those checked and submitted it for review, would we just wait for the application to come back and then do an edit?
Yes, because once you've submitted, you have to wait for us to return it to modify again.
Great, thank you.
All right. Let's see. Lorena Ross, are you able to unmute yourself, or did you chat? I see you popping up again. All right, how about user titled Kitchen? Are you able to unmute yourself and ask your question? All right, I see you're unmuted. Are you able to ask your question? All right, I'll move on to some questions in the chat. And if you're having a hard time unmuting yourself, why don't you go ahead and put it in the chat? That might be a better option at this point. Okay, so the next question I see in our chat is from Eileen Hepner. I hope I said that right. If SSO is only 2 meals, can we also do after-school snack programs and be reimbursed by SSO for breakfast, lunch, and after-school snack program? Who from the project team would like to take this one?
I can do that one. So Seamless Summer is available only for 1 to 2 meal programs. So you can pick any combination of the meal services that we have available except for lunch and supper, which we don't see a whole lot of supper under our program. But you could do breakfast and lunch under Seamless Summer. And then if you wanted to do after school snack as well, you would have to operate that under NSLP. So it wouldn't be under SSO like breakfast and lunch. It would be kind of that last example I had with the claim entry where you'd have to enter breakfast and lunch on your Seamless Summer claim and after school snack on your normal traditional claim entry.
All right, thank you, Sammy. All right, scrolling down, let's see. Okay, so a question from Grennan. Is Severe Needs School District, do you have to operate an open site for SSO, or do you still have the option to operate a closed site?
I can do that since it's on SSO. So you can operate either as an open site or a closed site this year. You can do whichever one you would like to do. If you want to open your meal service to anyone under the age of 18, then you would do an open site. If you want to target that just to your closed or to your enrolled students, you would do a closed enrolled site. Just keep in mind that if you had operated open site previously, you might have children showing up that want a meal, and if you switch to closed enrolled, you would not be able to serve a reimbursable meal to them at that point since you are operating as closed enrolled rather than open.
Thanks again. All right, next question. If school is under the SFSP program, when should we submit the application by? Our school starts August 25th, but we are still handing out meals until August 23rd under SFSP. We haven't really talked about this as a project group, but I would say you can complete the application now. Like I said earlier, our 21-22 SSO application is not open yet, and that's for October through May operation dates, as Sammy was explaining. However, you can submit your 2021 application packet for August and September operations through SSO as soon as today, right now, and we'll be getting to those promptly. And we'll let you know, just to reiterate, we'll let you know whenever 21-22 SSO is open. Trust me, we're as frustrated that that's closed as you guys are. All right, moving on to the next. there's a question about, will there be later training on what documentation is needed to back up for the claims process? We don't have anything in the books right now for any training, but I'm writing that down right now, and we'll bring that up with Becky, our financial manager. And our next question is, when do we enter the waiver 85? On what plan? Sammy, could you clear that one up a little bit?
So indicating the waiver 85 is just going to be a comment on whether you're operating an open or enclosed enrolled site. That waiver 85 is just the waiver that was issued for CMO Summer to be an option throughout the 21-20 school year, 21-22 school year. So you're just going to indicate that on that other line or in the comment box on a closed enrolled site.
All right. All right, clarification question. Do we have to enter 2 SSO applications? One from school year 2021 and the other from 21-22. Yes, you're correct. To operate SSO this school year, you need to be submitting 2 application packets. On the 21-22 application, it's October through May, and then 2021 contains August and September. All right, moving to another question. Let's see. All right, Lorena's question is, can someone explain the after-school snack between regular application and SSO application again? I'm going to see if I can, let me try to just unmute. I'm going to ask Lorena for some clarification on that question. So I'm going to unmute everyone and see if we could do something like that. Oh, okay. Oh, that fixed the problem. All right, Lorena, I think you should be able to unmute yourself now if you'd like to ask, provide some clarification. Oh, I thought I heard someone. Okay, Lorena, if you're able to figure out unmute now, I think I fixed the issue that maybe was blocking everyone from being able to unmute. So we can come back to you whenever you're able to unmute yourself. All right, moving on to our next question. How can I determine who is listed as director, manager, determining official, etc.? And this, I believe, was on Heather's portion. Heather, are you able to answer that question?
I am. I guess I need to clarify what the question is, though. If you don't know, I mean, I guess is that T-Hurt? It would be whoever's listed. Let me open the window here. I probably have to log back into. Usually those auto-populate, but if you're not sure within your district, let me share my screen again. Okay, very good. If you go into your application packet, oops. Sorry, technical difficulties here. So those will auto-populate from what was there previously. If you are new and starting out, Usually your superintendent or your assistant superintendent can help you with those. It also depends on how big your district is. So, you know, in a lot of districts, your food service manager and director is you, and then sometimes you're also the claim contact and the determining official. So that's really, it's hard to answer because it's really on a case-by-case basis. But if you reach out to your program specialist, then we are happy to help you figure that out.
Cool. Thank you, Heather.
Yep.
All right. So we have just 2 more minutes left with Q&As. I want to say I'm able to pull this chat out so I can copy and paste all these questions if we don't get to all of them today, and we can send a follow-up email to all schools across Missouri, and we'll follow up with any unanswered questions here. But for now, I'll just do one more, and then we'll do a closeout because I know all of you have lives to get back to. So let's see. Okay, the next question I see is, under SFSP, we were able to use tick sheets for meal service. How will this work for SSO? Do we use tick sheets or utilize our POS system in order to account for each individual child? Anyone from the project team would like to take that?
I can do that since I went over claims. If you're doing Seamless Summer, you can do the tick sheets. Yeah. If you want to stay in practice of using your point of service, you can do that as well. Either of those options would be acceptable.
All right. Thanks, Sammy. So like I said, I'll pull out all these unanswered questions from chat, and we'll have a follow-up email that's sent out. This meeting was recorded, is being recorded. This will be available on our website this Friday, along with a document that summarizes everything that this team went over. So you can rewatch this webinar and also have a hard copy of guidance that we reviewed today. Thank you for joining us today, and thank you again to Samantha, Keely, Heather, and Kyle. Visit our newsletters, webinars, and workshops page to download and fill out your training certificate. It is up right now. And be sure to join us next Tuesday for our second Let's Talk Tuesday. We will be discussing the waiver to allow specific meal pattern flexibilities and other meal service waivers. Look out for that webinar link in your email inbox next Monday, or I should say this upcoming Monday at 1 p.m. Thank you again, and have a good rest of your Tuesday afternoon. Bye, everyone.